You're listening to The Bo's Nose, a podcast about Q.I Roberts Junior Senior High School in Putnam County, Florida.
All right, welcome, fervent fans of The Bo's Nose. I'm your host, Mrs. Bose, not Mr. Bose, and today I have guests in the studio to help us talk about their experiences being recognized as School Support Employee of the Year and Teacher of the Year here at Q.I Roberts. So I have Mrs. Katie Hall, who is our bookkeeper, kind of finance extraordinaire, and then also Mr. Bose, calculus teacher and pep rally expert, in today to talk about their experiences and to give us a chance to recognize them and make sure that our school and our community really knows what these people are all about and what makes them tick. So thanks for joining me today. Katie, if you would mind introducing yourself to our listeners.
I'm Katie Hall. I'm the bookkeeper here and the support staff of the year.
Yay! Yeah, do the claps. All right. Okay, and then Mr. Bose.
It's weird to introduce myself in my own podcast. My name is Ian Bose. I teach pre-calculus, AP pre-calculus, AP calculus, and I am in charge of student government and all the fun things. Well, not all, but most of the fun things here on campus.
And some of the unfun things.
That's right? True. Some of the unfun things.
Like math. So to get us started, I'll start with Katie. What is your favorite, Q.I Roberts, funny story or tradition?
Oh, definitely the pep rallies. Definitely. I started 2 years ago, and when I came in, and Mr. Bose is an extraordinary MC, and just to see it all and see him, it blew me away. So it's so much fun. And he gets them so hyped up. They're so into it. And
yeah.
I went to a regular high school with football, and we had pep rally. It was nothing compared to this. It's incredible.
Yeah, I don't even think they did them at my high school. They do them now, but kind of pre-Instagram, Facebook, they didn't really do that.
I mean, my high school had pep rallies, but they were never that interesting because our football team wasn't that good.
Well,
so
and they were
there wasn't a lot of celebrations happening.
Anyways, Ian Bose, love of my life. What is your favorite QI story or tradition? If you say the pep rallies, I'll fight you. That's shameless self-promotion. You be asking this to people all the time.
I know, and you would think I'd have something that was like, oh yeah, this thing, but
I think he knows all the behind the scenes of the pep rallies, how hard he works. He's not going to say that.
All right, Ian.
So I think not a lot of people know this. It's somewhere between a story and tradition because it's only happened once so far. But it was nice before my AP Calculus exam last year, I made all of my students breakfast because their exam was at 8 o'clock in the morning. And it was fun just to get everybody together before the test and just kind of have that brief moment of relaxation before I sent them into their exam.
That's really nice. That's kind of sentimental. Yeah, Mr. Bose actually does all of the cooking at our house. I have no life skills. I'll do the laundry, actually. I do have that skill. But Mr. Bose has been cooking for me for the last 10 years and just kind of enabling my ineptitude. So thanks, Ian. And look, you're even extending your skills to the kids. So next question, and I'll start with Ian this time. If you could time travel, when would you go to and why?
My answer is probably not always going to be the same, but late 60s, early 70s. And not that there weren't problems in the world and in the United States at the time, but the engineering and the national pride that was the space race, is just always something that's fascinated me and always something that, we were battling the Soviets, but there's this sense of let's put every smart person together working on the same thing. And the only other time that I can think of that happened in U.S. history is when we made the atomic bomb. So it was, I would want to go then to see a more productive moment in U.S. ingenuity.
I was going to say, what, do you want to experience stagflation and Watergate? Like, that was a very specific time period. But I like that, like collective ingenuity.
Yeah, and I would just love to watch a Saturn V go up.
Ooh, you in space. Miss Hall, where or when would you go and why?
So it's kind of weird because I listened to all the podcasts. So I've heard this question asked, and my first thought was like the 60s, 70s, which is funny. Totally different reason. The clothes and the decor.
The fashion is the fashion. Yes.
I just think that was really cool. I just love it. But the more I listened, what the kids said, or even some of the adults, like different eras of like seeing either, the adults, I guess. Mr. Theobald talked about it, I think, seeing his kid in the future, like how, and so that got me thinking about that. And I was like, yeah, that's, kind of cool. But I think more of, because I have a senior this year, it hit me, and I'm like, I would want to go back to when they were little and experience that all over again. So that's final answer.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That one hits us because, Owen's like 4. He's at that like golden age, and I'm like,
yes. You just want to pause.
Yes. And then I'm just like, oh, it's so fleeting. So that's a great answer. As a mom solidarity on that answer for sure. So next one, quality, integrity, respect. I know we have mutual accountability, but that one doesn't make the podcast. Ian, which one and why?
I think the last time I was on the podcast, I had the same answer. But it's integrity for me. Because if you're doing your best work and that's the best you can do and that's your honest work, even if it's not quality, that's the best, that's what you're bringing to the table and that's your honest self. And for me, that's all I want out of my students and out of the people that I interact with is just give me the best of who you are and be true to that.
Well, and then it's like the idea that who you are, kind of who you appear to be is the reality of who you are. I think that's really important for teachers and anyone working with kids in schools. Just to facilitate that trust. Miss Hall, what's your take?
I think everyone, well, not everyone, but most people do say integrity. And so it makes me think every time. And I'm just like, you can't have the others without integrity.
It's kind of the foundational.
Right. So I go with integrity as well.
Correct answer, everyone. Ding,
yes.
ding, 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 ding. There's no correct answer, but I feel like there is. I'm going rogue on this podcast. So now some questions focus more on kind of the recognition that y'all both won recently. And I'll start with you, Ms. Hall. Just give us kind of your story. How and why did you end up working here at Q.I Roberts? What's your journey?
I can already hear my husband laughing at this.
Mine is too. It's so weird.
So when I graduated college, I have a bachelor's in business. I worked for UF for a while, and I really liked it in the Department of Psychiatry, just kind of administrative work. Mm-hmm. But I knew ever since I was in elementary school, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to be there when they got home from school. I don't know. I just always, other than that, I was kind of like, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. I'm still at that point.
Word.
So anyway, so once I had Wiley, it was very difficult. It just broke my heart. And then Lila came along to leave him every day, to drive to Gainesville, all that. So eventually we got to a place where I could cut back. And I just did things that supplemented our income, but allowed me the flexibility to pick them up from school, take them to school. I wanted to stay local. I substitute taught. I owned a business for a time where I sold advertisements on the computer, which that was a lot of work. So it did not allow much time, but I'm grateful. I still could take them to school, pick them up. And Wiley started here when he was in 7th grade, and I knew it was a great, incredible place. I just wanted to work here. I just knew it would be wonderful. And I think I actually worked for the Hawthorne Chamber of Commerce for a few years, and I loved that. It's very flexible. And I said, I will be here till my kids graduate unless I get a job at their school. That was always the goal. And then with COVID, working for a chamber.
Yeah.
So that kind of, fizzled out. And I saw the bookkeeper position opened up and I applied. No, that's not true. I saw a parapro position open up and I applied for that. And when I came in and interviewed, Mr. Theobald said, well, we're actually going to hire for a bookkeeper. You'd be better suited for that. I said, okay. And I love it. I love every minute of it.
That's awesome. And what a great gift. I mean, I think a lot of times we don't really honor what it is to be a mother and to give that gift to your kids.
Right.
Awkwardly, Mr. Cantrell, my little brother, is here, but our mom did something really similar. She had other jobs, but she was able to pick us up from school. And what an awesome gift that you got to give your family.
Right. My mom was a nurse and she worked nights.
Oh, wow.
But so she was home during the day and she was always the room mother. They had room mothers back then. So she was always available and she was really involved in our school. And so it just, I just wanted to do the same.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So Ian, I mean, this is weird. Hey, Ian, how did you end up working here? I don't know. Enlighten me.
So my students tend to know this story because it's part of my beginning of the year thing. And if you're a listener of the podcast, at least season 2, if you didn't listen to the end of season 1, where I also told a little bit of the story, but Mr. Dew kind of teased a little bit of that story. So Mr. Dew, here's the rest of the story for you. So I have my bachelor's degree in engineering from Purdue University because I wanted to design the big productions, and not necessarily the Broadway productions, but the big Disney World theme park, the big permanent installations. That's what I wanted to do. So that's what my bachelor's degree is in. Graduated, didn't have any job prospects lined up because that particular industry is very heavily experience oriented. And of course it was before the economy kind of crashed. So everybody was like, well, you don't have the experience we're looking for. So I had family in, Central Florida, moved down, worked for SeaWorld for a little bit, but worked for SeaWorld for a couple of months until I realized August in Florida is not the time to work outside. And got a job working for UF at the Phillips Center for the Performing Arts. Was there for 5 years, worked my way up to be technical director, which is in charge of all of the personnel and technical equipment and managing the technical side of that facility. So that was so for any of you that helped with homecoming recently, imagine doing that 250 days a year. That's pretty much what I did, for about 5 years. And, when Mrs. Bose and I really started about thinking about having a family, I knew working till midnight and then going back to work at 7 a.m. wasn't what I wanted. I watched my colleagues at UF have a family and watch how difficult it was for them to balance everything. So I started looking for what skills I had and where else I could use them. And luckily, because I worked for UF, they paid for my master's degree. So I got my master's in education while working for UF. And then they had a math position open, and Miss Wood was like, hey, you should apply for this position. I interviewed for the position, got the position, and have been here. This is year 6, and have loved every minute of it.
And this is coming from a guy who told his mother, a teacher of how long she teach?
So my mom taught elementary school, so 5th and 6th grade, for 35 years in inner city Toledo. And I swore up and down that I would never become a teacher. But here I am. And his parents were just here, so we were just laughing about that. And then Ian, just to kind of follow up, what is your favorite part about teaching your subject? Teaching math is hard. It's always hard because it's difficult for students. It's something that they have to know. But for me, the favorite part, and this is kind of, I don't know, it's a little bit stereotypical, but is that moment when they get it. And not just a single subject, but when, especially after we've covered a couple things, when everything just starts to fall into place and we finally get to examples where they're like, oh, that's where everything comes together. Or we're finally to a place where I can give them practical examples of like, this is where you could use this. This is why you could use this. Because that's difficult in math, because you have to have a certain understanding of the material before the practical examples aren't more confusing than just the basic math. So that's what I like. I like students when they have that moment and they can appreciate the learning for the sake of learning. And when it's no longer about the grade, when it's like, I can do this cool thing with math.
I didn't know there were cool things you could do with math, but that's really cool. I like how developed that is. Usually when people ask me this, I say I'm in it for the laughs and to have a captive audience. And this next question is for you, Miss Hall. What's your favorite part about your job?
Oh, definitely the kids just coming in, and I just love them all. And my coworkers. I worked in an office at UF. I think I was there 8 years maybe. And it was pretty much the admin. It was just two of us. It was me and then a secretary. And sometimes nobody would come in all day. And just staring at a computer screen all day long was not for me. And I actually thought about getting my master's because I was working at UF. They would have paid. And I thought, why? So I can stare at a computer screen longer? And I already had Wiley at that point. So I was like, no, I think that was the point. I said, maybe I'll just have another baby. But, but here I just love it. I love hearing them outside of my window in between classes and talking and popping in and saying, hey, Miss Hall, and, talking about their life and just, I don't know. I can't explain. And we have the best kids. We have absolutely the best kids. And I think we have the best employees. I get along with everyone. I love hanging out with them. There's no monotony, and that's what really drove me nuts in other jobs.
Yeah,
so.
You never know what's kind of going to hit you that day. I enjoy that too.
You went from no one coming into your office to me coming into your office like once a week going, why are we doing it this way? This doesn't make any sense.
But yeah, certainly community and gathering and interaction. I think in a society where we're so plugged in digitally, but not like together, I think any chance you have to have face-to-face community, I think is really important for kids, but also for, grown-ups, like we at least purport to be. I'm not a grown-up yet. And this leads me into my next question. I'll start with Ian. What does Q.I Roberts mean to you, kind of to bounce off of what Ms. Hall said?
So, personally, I would echo everything that Katie just said about the people and the students and just that sense of community. But I think more, not quite professionally, but QI for me has always been that place for students and staff who just want to grow and to try and to learn. And because I may be getting ahead in the questions, but like, we don't have the smartest students in the county. Like it's not like we are the cream of the crop. We have the weird, quirky students that just want to learn about weird stuff. And we have the teachers that just want to teach and do their job. And we have staff that just are here to support students and what they need and what they want to do. And to me, QI is the place where we check all the boxes that the state wants us to, but we do all of those other things too. We allow staff and students to grow and to learn and to develop and just to become the young adults that we all hope they turn out to be, because at some point they're probably going to be taking care of us.
So to put it concisely, growth?
Yes, if you want to.
Space for growth.
Yes.
Concision is key. I'm an English teacher in my soul. Miss Hall, What do you think is one important misconception that people might have about QI, if you can think of any?
Oh, gosh. I guess, well, one big thing is no sports, which I hear. And I'm glad you asked that question, because one thing, it's so hard for me when I'm telling, like, Lila, I have an 8th grader now, when she was graduating 6th grade, and the parents are figuring out where their kids should go. Wiley had already been here. I spent 1 year working here so far. And I'm like, y'all just don't understand how great it is. Send them to QI. Like, it's almost like I couldn't put it into words, it's just so wonderful. It's just such a great school. It's just the feeling and the atmosphere. But one big thing was, oh, well, my kid wants to play sports. So they would choose a school that had sports. And I'm like, we have lots and lots of athletes and some of the best athletes in the county. So that's a big misconception that they can't play sports or do other things. If they come here, we have tons of it.
We even have esports.
We
Just
do.
a quick shout out to Wiley, and I guess Chris is here.
Yes.
Cheer, Chris.
But yeah, I mean, at the pep rally we just had, I mean, we recognized, I didn't count in the picture, but probably well over 30
It was huge.
Athletes. It was probably closer to 50 by the time we combine Palatka and Interlochen.
And Crescent City.
And we have a couple students that play for Crescent City. So
yeah.
Yeah, I think the sports is a big piece. Ian, did you have anything to add? Or is that? I think
I've covered everything. I mean, the sports is the big thing.
Well, I think you said, we don't have the smartest kids. So I think that's another misconception is, oh, well, you have to be extremely smart to go there.
Mm-hmm. This actually goes back to Cambridge as a whole. The misconception is that Cambridge is only for elite, hyper-gifted kids, and it can certainly serve and challenge those kids. But Cambridge, internationally, is just school. Mm-hmm. Like, this is just what you do in the last couple years of high school internationally. It's how you get into university. And so Cambridge as an organization is focused on promoting quality teaching and learning internationally, regardless of that. I deal with that a lot with like other teachers that I train, is that they're like, well, my kids aren't, hyper elite, 160 IQ kids. They can't do this, but they totally can find some growth and progress there. So next question.
Can I just say too? I think the teachers are just so amazing at getting out of these kids what their potential as well. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like I know when I was in school, I was a pretty lazy student. It came easy, so I didn't push myself, and so I just love that. No matter where they are, the teachers just work really well with them and get them to where they need to be or push them a little further. I worried about that, like Wiley. Mm-hmm. He is gifted. He is smart. I wanted to make sure he didn't. When I got to college, I didn't even know how to study. It was difficult. So I'm really grateful for that for my kids. But I just think, no matter the kid's level, this is a great school for them.
Yeah, and I think on that, there's a lot of stories, probably more amongst the students than necessarily the families, but that QI is difficult, that it's hard, but I think to your point of, it's bringing out students' potential, it's kind of that idea that the only thing that can sharpen a diamond is a diamond. Mm-hmm. Like that, what we provide for our students is that opportunity to become their best self and to succeed at whatever it is next. Not all of our students go to four-year universities, but where they end up, they still excel.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize how esports, how my kid playing Halo could, honestly, how it could bring out the best in him, just.
So I'll start with you, Ian. What does it mean to you to have been selected to represent QI as Teacher of the Year and at the district level?
It means a lot.
Elaborate.
Because I put in a lot for the school and for the students. But I don't do it for the recognition. I do it because it's fun for me, and especially teaching math, having interactions with students outside of the classroom in not this thing that they want to resent. That's fun to me, and to be able to do things like the pep rallies and this podcast and the website and some of our social media presence and starting the pinning ceremony, like doing all of these things is fun for me because a certain amount of it is what I used to do, so it's easy. It's a skill set that I have, but also to give students the opportunity to showcase their own skills, give the community a chance to see the school as this amazing place that all of us that work here know that it is. And a chance for students to get the recognition for their hard work. Whether that be the student athletes at their pep rally, to be able to be like, yeah, I play sports for, Palatka, or for the students that won or placed at the classics exam, to be able to make sure they get their recognition and get out on our website, and to make sure all of these ACE exams that we talk about, like that we put a number to it, that students can, walk around with 14 bars on their varsity jacket, which is another thing that has happened in the last couple of years is we have our own varsity jacket, and the students can earn their academic letter. And
I love seeing them wear it too.
Those are kind of
they're so proud of it.
One thing I really liked about what you said, Ian, was this idea of kind of lifting up the accomplishments of our students and our staff. I think so many people operate in such a scarcity mindset in schools, in businesses, just kind of culturally, where, I want to get mine and I want to shine. But the idea that you've put a lot of time and energy into making sure that you've kind of operated with this more abundance. What can I add, and how can I lift people up? I think that's really important. And that's honestly, that abundance mindset is something that I think distinguishes both of you. As, certainly a teaching colleague, but also, Ms. Hall, you always make sure that we're getting the materials that we need. And I mean, as a teacher, that's critical. Just that I know that you always have our back is really important. So kind of taking it back to you, Ms. Hall, what does it mean to you to have been selected?
Oh, it means so much. The first year when you have to vote on these things, I'm like, oh, goodness, I've only been here a little bit. But I could see, like the parapros and the front desk ladies and things, like their need and how great they are greeting the students and different things like that. And I mean, of course, I didn't even think about the first year, like I said, I've been here 2 years. I didn't think it'd be me.
She's like, it's me, guy.
Yeah.
Move over.
But I also just think my mindset was like, well, it's not going to be a bookkeeper, and of course I talk to everyone. I've talked to all employees and teachers, but if they don't take money, if they don't I have very little interaction with them. And so in my mind, it was just something people don't really think about.
Right.
The bookkeeper as, I don't know, in my mind, it just felt like that. So it was a shock. It was a big shock, but it made it even better, that they really voted for me. And that just, it meant so much. It's like so far one of the greatest, accomplishments at work. I mean, it seems, I don't know.
To be recognized by your peers.
Yeah. Well, in your accomplishments, Ms. Hall, I mean.
Shh, don't steal my next question.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm in charge, Mr. Bowes.
Can I talk about also Mr. Bowes real quick about, this came up when you're talking about teaching math. First of all, math has always come very easy to me. It's always clicked. And so, but I also thought about teaching all through college and even in high school. And people, oh, you're good at math, just get a business degree. Which don't do that.
Word, get a classics degree, y'all.
Yes,
Anyways.
like figure out what you really want to do. But anyway, there was a time in college where I thought about switching my major to math. I did have AP Calc in high school, and I passed. So I had that credit. So I'd gone like 2 years without having math. And then I went into Calc 2 and I think physics.
Whoa.
I dropped out that semester because I was like, nope, not for me. And I always thought I could never teach math because I don't get what people don't get. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you get training, but I know for a fact I could never teach math. So I think that is very difficult. So I understand. Well, I know I don't understand, but we talk about the pep rally and we talk about these things, but I don't think anyone probably other than you, Miss Bowes, knows what he actually does behind the scenes and everything, like picking up the truck and picking up all the sound equipment and then this major setup in our gym and then the emceeing of everything and the planning of everything. It's huge. And honestly, like when I heard he won, I was like, wait a minute, has he not won before? He does so much around here. I mean, I know you can win more than once, but I was honestly shocked that Mr. Bowes, that I just thought, of course he should be Teacher of the Year. He's incredible. He does so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyway, I just wanted to say that.
So I think that really captures a lot of how I feel about him too. But Miss Hall and Ian, follow me up when she doesn't cover all of it.
Okay.
But Miss Hall, what achievements make you the proudest of your time at Q.I Roberts? Like, what do you think are some of these things that you've accomplished that probably helped people recognize you as such a gift?
Well, I think my main goal in coming here, well, not long after I started, I'm support person of the year. I want to support these teachers. I know teachers, spend money out of their own pocket way too much. They don't get the help and everything they need in other ways. So if I can help them at least financially, just make sure they know, hey, I can order something for you instead of you going to buy it and not getting, then they have to pay the tax. We can't reimburse tax, all that. So that was just my main thing. And then I looked for other ways, like they used to always use the receipt books and everybody. And I said, okay, how about everyone just come pay me as much as we can? And then teachers won't have to take the money, write a receipt. So I tried to just that was from the jump when I saw how it actually works at a school. Just tried to come up with ways to take something off the plate of the teachers. And I think I've done that as best I can. I'm always each year trying to, like Mr. Bowes and I finally figured out a better way for the homecoming ticket sale so he doesn't have to write a million receipts. So next year will be even better, but I think that's the best accomplishment.
All right, Ian, tell them about our friend, Miss Hall.
Yeah, I mean, so you're also one of the first people in the district to adopt the RevTrack, our online payment system.
Yeah.
And
that's not all.
I mean, and no one has as many organizations using that as you do. You just had a perfect audit.
Woo! Press the button.
Which is not easy to do. So.
Thank you.
And I echo the appreciation and your effort to make sure we always have everything. Like, there's never been a time where you've ever been like, well, we can't get that. It's always been like, okay, well, I'll get it for you. It'll be here in 2 days. Or, I mean, other than the beginning of the year where there were also extenuating circumstances
there always are.
for getting some things ordered. But
I will get them ordered this afternoon.
You always are making sure we have the books and the paper and the pens and everything that we all need.
And I burn through chart paper like it ain't nobody's business. And she supports my habit, and I appreciate that. And so this kind of goes into, and this will be my final question, I imagine, unless the real host has me ask more. As a teacher of the year or a support person of the year, you've been recognized by your peers, and whether you like it or not, you have kind of a platform now. And certainly at the district level, you'll have a platform. If you're recognized by the district, kind of, that full district honor, that gives you even more of a platform. And the teacher and support person of the year program statewide really does try to cultivate the voices of the people who are recognized. And so with this platform that you now have, I'll start with Ian. What's your primary message as a spokesperson for our school, our community, and like our profession as people involved in education?
I feel like I should have a better answer ready to go, given that I typed this question.
Do you want me to stall with an anecdote?
No, okay, I can go. It may be a little rambly, but I can get there to a point.
Concision is key.
So I think teaching as a profession and working in schools as a profession right now, nationally, especially in Florida, is not the most appealing thing for people to want to do. And for all of those reasons, I totally understand. But it is more rewarding than anything I've ever done. And I think I'm just trying to figure out where I want to go next.
So I think what you're distilling here is teaching can be a viable and should be a viable career for talented people. Kids might do this to you, but kids do this to me. Mrs. Bowes, what did you want to be before you became a teacher instead? Like this idea that we're all washed up. What is it? Teachers are people whose dreams have failed or something?
Yeah.
Like there's this stereotype of teacher is loser. And I think that's not really, the teaching can be, you're not going to get rich, but it can be a career that sustains a rich life. Mm-hmm. But you can continue. I give you a minute to breathe.
I think the other side of it for me that I want to elevate is that all students, no matter where they are capable. And as teachers, as school staff, we need to keep that at the forefront. That, it doesn't matter that they have an IEP or a 504 or a disability or they can't speak English or whatever their situation in life is. Like, everybody has something going on in the background. And the best thing we can do as a teacher, as a school, as a staff is believe in them and be there for them.
It reminds me, everyone is a math person. Right? I remember you telling me about that idea that like everyone is a math person. And so I kind of take that, everyone's a classics person. Everyone is a literature person. I don't care what you say. It kind of the belief that all children are capable of learning, I think is very
and we do nothing by setting expectations low for students. Mm-hmm. I would encourage every teacher, every parent, every person out there to set reasonable expectations, but set high expectations. Because the worst thing I think you can do is to set low expectations and have someone meet them. Mm-hmm. Because that doesn't tell you anything. I have students all the time. They're like, I've had straight A's. I want straight A's. And it's like, but that doesn't tell you anything. Like that doesn't get you to drive. That doesn't get you, especially in the age where there isn't a lot of intrinsic motivation. So we have to give them a little external push. And so I think that my concision to put it all together is
upon reflection.
Yeah. Teaching is a great profession. It is a great idea for a second career. If you are tired in what you're doing, or you don't want to sit behind the desk anymore, or you don't want those unpredictable hours. But if you have skills like, you can bring those into the classroom, and even if it's not, you weren't an accountant, so you can't teach math, but you might be able to teach math because you have stories or you have a way to connect with the students. And when you connect with the students, set high expectations for them, push them to become the best they can be.
And these kids will energize you. Like you were saying, if you're burnout on your other, like, that's one thing I love, just being like, I hate using the term the energy, but
the vibe, yeah,
the energy here.
Well, and there's so much to that when a lesson just when the
lesson hits.
No, but it's true, when a lesson hits and the kids are into it, and they might not even be getting it, but they're willing to engage in it, and it's just like, yes, I'll answer those questions because you want to know.
I always like teaching because I say that I'm my own boss. Don't tell Joe. Like, I get to decide what I do every day, and it's awesome. But to wrap this up, Ms. Hall, you have a platform too. So what is your primary message as a spokesperson for school or community and for kind of the education field? You had great comments on kind of teachers and resources, so you can certainly lean into that. But, what kind of message would you put out on this platform that you now have?
So I feel like I'm like nodding and saying yes to what y'all are saying about when the kids ask questions and this, because, and I don't know because I'm not a teacher. So you would think I haven't personally seen that, but I've been in a classroom and seen the interactions, and I just love it. And I can imagine what that feels like. But at the same time, you do get that up in the front office too. Mm-hmm. And that's one reason I love being here. The kids will come in and say, guess what? I got this. And even if they're talking to Miss Ski or Miss Stauffer, I can hear it. So often they're so excited about a grade they got or a project they're working on or something. And I love being able to be a part of that. But also, I think as a platform, just, even if you are a bookkeeper or whatever, not a teacher, you can still make a difference with the kids. Mm-hmm. And I really love hearing, like, especially I say the front desk ladies because I'm right outside their office. I love hearing them in the morning say, hey, have a great day, and sometimes the kids are late and they kind of know who to give heck to and who to have a little bit of, compassion on. And some of the kids, need a little more in the mornings or during the day. And I can hear kind of these conversations or people discuss, and it's just, I think, just as any staff member, you can give the love to a kid that may need it, may need a little encouragement, but also celebrating their victories, which keeps them going. And I know the other day, a 7th grader came into my office, and I actually knew her when she was very little. And so I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe, it's you. And I said, well, are you so excited to be here? And she said, yes. She said, the best part is how proud my family is. Oh. And I just loved being a part of that and getting to hear that. And so anyway.
Yeah, like relationships with all of the adults in the building is what keeps kids on track, because not everyone is going to connect perfectly with every kid. Mm-hmm. And just thinking, certainly the teacher-student dynamic is important, but every adult in the building can and should have an impact on the kids that they interact with.
And all it takes is one.
Really important.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's very, very well put.
And I feel like, too, with my job or some of the other stuff, we kind of, if the teacher, the teacher has to teach, you have to do these certain things. You have to, and if maybe we can just sit and listen. Mm-hmm. I mean, like our teachers are great at listening to their students, but if they're, not in the classroom and they just need someone to sit and listen, we're capable of that, so we can at least give them that.
Yeah, shout out to Dina and Tiffany too.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, y'all are a powerhouse up there. So that's it for me.
Well, listeners, we're we hope you enjoyed this podcast. It's a little bit longer than our usual podcast, but
I tried, man. I skipped questions.
I think it was perfect. We talked about what we needed to. Wanted to thank Ms. Hall for sitting down and talking with us after she finished the monumental task of counting all the money from this past weekend with homecoming. Thank you to Mrs. Bowes for hosting this podcast so it wasn't an awkward interviewing myself podcast.
The greatest. You're going to get so many listener requests for me to just depose you as host because I was so good.
You were very good.
Thank you.
Very good.
So this wraps up another episode of The Bowes Knows. No?
No, you don't have to say that.
Okay. I think you should leave that in. Listeners, if you like the podcast, subscribe and you miss out on future episodes. And please share with your friends. Until next time, excellence in all endeavors. Did I sound like you?
Listeners, if you like the podcast, subscribe on your favorite podcast player of choice so you don't miss out on future episodes. And please share with your friends. Until next time, excellence in all endeavors.